Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us this week on our Business Boost training call. I love that we're doing these once a week. Whether you've been tuning in all along or this is your first one, hopefully you can get some nuggets to help you with your business or starting your business today. That's what our goal is with these calls. And hopefully, whether you've been around doing this with me since day one or you haven't started the business yet, you're just kind of thinking about it, this call is for you. I know there's a lot of things that we talk about in network marketing, how there's certain skills that you need to be successful. And the good thing is they're all learnable, they're all figure outable. None of the skills that you need to be successful here, I had innately when I joined. They're all things that I had to learn and develop and grow. But again, that's the good thing because it's possible. But what I want to talk to you guys today is the importance of not getting stuck in the learning stage. I know so many people who feel like they have to have the perfect verbiage or know how to have the perfect conversation before they take action, and they just get stuck in that learning stage. At some point, we have to, and I'm not going to say stop learning because we should never stop learning, but at some point, we need to put into action the things that we're learning. An analogy I was thinking about the other day. Her oldest is turning 15, and Chad's been taking him doing some driving lessons and things. And it made me think back to when I was that age. And you can study that driver's ed book, you can know the laws, you can know all the things about the car inside and out, right? But you don't actually learn to drive until you get behind the wheel. And it's the same way with our business. We can learn, we can study, we can know how to do all the things theoretically, but until we're actually in those action steps is when we really learn how to craft those conversations and those messages, right? So we can't just get stuck in the learning, we have to start doing. A lot of times people say, well, I don't feel confident in sharing. I don't feel confident in having a conversation. And so they again get stuck in that waiting. But if you wait until you feel confident, then you're going to be waiting forever. Experience is what gives competence, and competence is what gives confidence. So you're not going to feel confident until you get competent, and you're not going to be competent until you have that experience. I saw this statistic that so many people have big dreams, but only 7% of people achieve those dreams every year. And what is the main thing that holds people back from stepping into action? And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, because it's fear. Fear is the number one thing that keeps people from stepping into action. And there's four main fears specifically that keep people from pursuing their dreams. So maybe, like I said, you're new, you're thinking about taking action but haven't yet, and there's something holding you back. Maybe you can identify one of these fears. Or maybe you're a leader and there's a goal that you want to work towards, but you're scared to even set that goal. And maybe it's one of these fears that's holding you back. So I want to talk about those four fears that keep people from stepping into action. And the first one is the fear of making a mistake. How many times, especially with our kids, I know I've seen, we had this happen a couple weekends ago where we told one of our kids to do something and it's almost like they froze in place. And I looked at them, I was like, are you scared of messing up? And they're like, yes, I don't want to make a mistake. And I was like, okay, you got to get that out of your head because we're all going to mess up. We're all going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But the only way we can get good at something is by doing it, right? I know I used this analogy before with our daughter playing her violin. If she waited until she was proficient to play, she would never play because the only way to get proficient is by messing up a bunch, by practicing first, right? So many people get scared of doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing that they don't take any action. We just have to all realize that we're all human. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to type out the wrong thing on a message. You're going to misspeak. You're going to look back later in a conversation like, oh, why did I say that? I should have said this instead. It happens to everybody. It still happens to me. But every time you do that, you learn better for the next time what not to do. And that's so important with gaining that experience. So don't let the fear of making a mistake keep you stuck from action because, again, we're all human. Nobody's perfect. And so do it anyway. And by doing it over and over, that's how you learn not to make those mistakes. The second fear that holds people back is the fear of failure. This is another huge fear that keeps people from stepping into action. They're so scared, I put myself out there and people are watching. And what if I say I'm going to earn this, or I'm going to rank up, or I'm going to get the Lexus or whatever, and then it doesn't happen. But what people don't realize is that by not acting, you fail by default, right? Because if you're scared of not reaching that goal so you don't work for it, then you're not going to reach the goal anyway. And you're setting yourself up for that failure. The only way to truly fail is to quit or not to act at all. We think of success as being like a straight line, right? Like where you start and then where you finish. But success isn't like that. There's lots of ups and downs along the way as we make mistakes, as we learn what not to do. So we need to make sure that we, just like making mistakes, we need to view our failures as opportunities to learn and grow. The third fear that people face on the regular is the fear of rejection. What if I put a post out there? What if I send a message to somebody and they say no? Or even worse, what if they make a negative comment or say something judgmental? Just like making mistakes, people are going to say no, right? People are going to probably say stuff negative, maybe comment negative things on your post. I can't tell you how many times in the 10 years, 11 years that has happened to me. Actually, when I joined, I had 2 family members take it upon themselves when I first joined to reach out to me individually. They don't know each other on the opposite sides of my family, but they both reached out to me and said, I've been seeing your posts. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm, embarrassed for you. You've got to stop. Don't ever talk to me about this. Whatever you're doing, I don't want to hear about it. And they said some very harsh, very hurtful things. And in both cases, I cried. But then I decided, could I let their misperception of what I was working towards, what I was doing, hold me back, or could I just do it anyway? I knew what I was going for. I knew what I wanted to accomplish for my family. So could I let them keep me from pursuing that, or could I just do it anyway? And that's what I did. And I've actually, in both of those cases, since then, they both have ordered as customers faithfully. One of them, even a few years ago, had a very sudden job loss in the family that was very unexpected. It was a job they thought was going to be very secure. And they have since said, I wish we had joined you from day one because we had this job loss happen that we did not see coming. And having this as a plan B, having Plexus as a plan B, would have changed everything for us. So again, just know that if somebody says something negative, if somebody says no, don't take it personally. Don't let that hold you back. Just move on. I was actually somebody who said, never will I ever. Said, I will never order the products. I will never work the business. I will never do that. Stop talking to me about it. I don't want to hear it again. And so if I can go from absolutely never to having 2 Jewel accounts, anybody can. So I don't cross anybody off my list just because they tell me no. I don't worry about rejection because they're not rejecting me. It's really just a misperception of what they think Plexus is that they're saying no to. And so then I'm just like, okay, it's my job to make them understand what we have to offer, because once they understand that, once they see how what we have will help fix their problem or solve their need, then they usually eventually come around. So just know again that people are going to say no. There's going to be people that say negative things, but don't let their misperception hold you back from stepping into action that's going to get you closer to your dreams. And then the last fear, the fourth fear that people have that keeps them from stepping into action is the fear of success. And I say this one for last for a reason, because it's the most unexpected fear. You don't think of anybody having the fear of success, but it is the number one fear that keeps people from stepping into action. I tell all my new ambassadors when I get doing their first onboarding call about this fear for a reason, because every single one of them has said to me, oh my word, I thought that same thing. So people are afraid usually to do a post or to message somebody, not because they're afraid that nobody will respond, but they're actually afraid that people will respond. If you really get honest with people and say, why haven't, have you not posted yet because you're worried that people are going to comment, they usually will say yes. And because when people don't respond, when people don't comment, when people don't message them, that's an easy out. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to grow. They don't have to learn anything. And they can say, well, I tried, it didn't work, and then walk away, right? And it's not then their fault that nothing came of the business because people didn't respond. But if they do a post, if they send a message and somebody is interested, then they have to step up. They have to figure out what to say and how to lead that person. If that person wants to join as a business builder, then they get really scared because then they have to step into a leadership role. And if it's someone that's new, that's going to be very intimidating for them. And so that's again where it's our job to show them we're here for you. If you do a post, add me to a three-way message with that person. Let's get on a three-way call with that person. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to know all the things. And it's super important that we address this fear specifically with our new people, because again, it is the number one fear I see holding people back from stepping into action. They're actually afraid of having success because that means they'll have to change something they're doing. They'll have to grow. And that's where it gets kind of uncomfortable for people. I know for me, it does. For me, doing calls like this when I first started, I would be sick to my stomach for days leading up to them because I was so scared of making a mistake, of saying the wrong thing, of just doing the calls in general. But if I had waited until I was comfortable to do these training calls, we would still be waiting. None of us will be here. I would still be waiting. The only way to get over that fear was to do the action and then just do it over and over and over until I got comfortable with it. And again, I had to grow. I had to learn. I had to stretch myself outside of my comfort zone. And that's such a common fear that people have, is the fear of success, because it requires change of them to grow. So again, this is so common with people, and we as leaders need to really be aware of it. That way we can address it with our new people too. And if you're new and you're watching this, and this is the reason that you haven't posted yet or haven't messaged people yet, know that your sponsor is there to help you. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to comment on the post. You don't have to respond to the messages alone. You don't have to do training calls. Ask your sponsor to be in those conversations with you. That way you can learn what you're supposed to be saying, and they can help your other person, your potential, get their questions answered. So at the end of the day, success is not having zero fears. It's about taking action despite them. So do not let the fear of mistakes, of failure, of rejection, or success keep you from doing the things you need to do to get you closer to your goals. Those fears are not signs that you should stop. They are signs that you may need to grow, but no one has ever built anything incredible without facing a fear head on. One of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote, but courage is not the absence of fear, but it's taking action in the presence of fear. And that's so true. Don't wait until you're not scared anymore to do something. Just feel the fear and do it anyway. By doing it over and over, that fear becomes less and less scary. Your experience grows, your confidence grows, and your confidence grows. The only difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that successful people feel that fear and do it anyway. So take action, do the things you need to do, and the rest is going to fall into place. And know that we're all here for you every step of the way. So I always like to end with an action step. So what I want you guys to do as soon as we get done with this call is write out one goal that you have been scared to set. Maybe it's a rank that you've been scared to push for, or maybe it's an event you've been scared to host, or maybe you've been feeling a tug to start a team page or host your own training call for your own team. Whatever that is that you feel like you need to do to take your business to the next level, or maybe you're brand new and haven't started yet and you're scared to get started. Maybe that is just getting started is the fear that you have. Whatever that fear is that you know is something you need to work for, that goal that you need to work for, write that down as soon as we get done with that call. You don't have to share it with me. You don't have to share it with anybody. Just write it down. It's between you and the Lord. What is one goal that you have been too scared to voice that you want to work for? And the second thing I want you to do after you write down the goal is identify which fear it is that's been holding you back from working towards that goal. Which of these fears has been that stumbling block, that obstacle that's keeping you from pursuing that goal? And then the last thing I want you to do, once you've written down your goal, identified the fear, just spend a few minutes, even if it's just 5 minutes, taking some sort of action step to get you towards that goal. Just something small. It can be baby steps, because I know the goal that you've written down is something scary, but just do something today when we get off this call that's going to get the ball rolling towards that scary goal that you wrote down. So hopefully this was helpful. I think, like I said, as leaders too, it's just important that we know these 4 fears that we can identify with our people, and even with our ourselves. I mean, I still have fears that I face every day that I just have to do it anyway. So great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.